So this is an exciting time, the first session of this hall, so I'm really honored to be on Cypher. We started the APAC chapter not too long ago, and it has been our dream to be a part of this event, and finally we are here. So it's great to see you all, and thank you for taking the time to come and see what we have to show. So SingleStore is a real-time distributed database, and today I want to talk to you about how we need to move beyond the traditional architectures in the next evolution when it comes to technology. So we know that businesses are built around products and services. There used to be a time where taxi company used to be a taxi company, right? Cinema hall used to be a cinema hall. A grocery store used to be a grocery store, right? But things have been evolving in the last 10 years where companies have moved from just doing the bare basics of providing logistics and groceries and movies to becoming behemoths in the industry, becoming essentially a software company. That is what gave birth to the Ubers of the world. Uber was a black taxi company, became a logistics and a software platform company, right? Amazon, which was a bookstore, became essentially a marketplace for anybody to sell anything with the best-in-class delivery system, with even 2 hours or even 15 minutes of delivery. Netflix, which used to post DVDs across the continent, became a software company and a giant in itself when it came to streaming media and analytics. But there is a shift that has been happening under the current, right? These software companies, which was serving their customers and enhancing experiences, slowly started building swaths of data, and then came the advent of big data and big data technology. People had to do something about it. And that's what led to the advent of AI. And what was kept with the few organizations on the top, like Meta when it came to AI for advertising, or Google when it came to AI for search, Netflix, which came best-in-class AI for the recommendation engine, now in the last few months has changed. With the advent of OpenAI's and ChatGPT, we now have democratized AI for the masses. That means a common man like you and I, organizations that we all work for, now has essentially have to be an AI company or else we will cease to exist. That is the mandate. That's why this hall is full today, because we are all have a mandate from our CIOs and CTOs that we have to adopt, mandate, and execute AI, not only for our internal employees, but also to serve our customers and enhance their use cases. The question is, how do we adopt this? It is a really cool technology, but how do we serve our customers? So let's look at the data architecture today. So, if I want to build an application, I would go for the open source database of the world. I would go for a MySQL or a Postgres, build my application on top of it. I'll bring in my batch data. I'll bring in my operational data. I want to start using third-party data, so I bring in a JSON database or a document database like Mongo into the fold, and that serves the application. Slowly I say, you know what? I need low latency. Low latency is becoming a thing, and my application needs to work and serve the customers quicker. Hence, I bring in a database like Redis, which is an in-memory database. And you know, Redis can only handle a terabyte of data, not so much, so now I need to make a copy, pick my favorite child in my data, put it in memory, put the remaining on disk or object store. Then I start the desire to do full text search. So I go and buy Elasticsearch, and I want the capability of doing full text search. And then I stream in my IoT data from multiple devices. I bring all this data together because now, guess what? I want to do analytics. So I bring in a data warehousing platform like Snowflake. I start doing my analytics. I plug in Spark, and I plug it to my data science environment after that. As you can see, it started with an innocent database like Postgres, MariaDB, or MySQL. Now it has enlarged itself into a MongoDB, a Redis, a Snowflake, a Elasticsearch, and a data science platform. Do you see the irony in this? This is just an illustration. When I talk to banks today, they have 30 databases in their infrastructure. You take a global bank, there is 80 databases, which means 80 teams maintaining this, 80 teams hoping and praying that the integration does not break, and the problems are enormous. Does this sprawl remind you of the work that you and I do every single day? This is what we do. And this is where the demand from the top comes and says, I want you to adopt a vector database, and I want you to make this LLM or this Gen AI or this AI use case work somehow. But guess what? None of them has the latest data. Enormously sluggish performance. Bottlenecks throughout the infrastructure. Increased data movement. Nobody has the latest amount of data. Lack of enterprise features and vendor lock-in. You will be paying renewals and vendor fees through the roof just to make the infrastructure work out, just to keep the lights in your organization. Why is that? So the question is, we live in a world where there are two landscapes. One is you're either a OLTP or a transactional database, which gives you the ability to do streaming ingest, faster writes, fast record lookups, high levels of concurrency, high availability, highly resilient and extensible. And that's an OLTP database, a transactional database. Then we have the analytical database, the OLAP database, blazing fast queries, fast reads, complex queries, the ability to handle petabytes of data, the ability to load petabytes of data, resource and governance. And we are talking about use cases like fraud detection, right? Real-time recommendation, personalization, supply chain analytics, and so on. The question is, just for this, there are two camps. How is an organization like you and I going to survive if I have to pick vendors every single day to play both these camps? That is where SingleStore comes in. SingleStore is a database that can transact, analyze, and contextualize your data in real time. Now the question is, how is that possible? We are the only database that can handle both OLTP and OLAP on a single table type. It is a patented technology, and we call it universal storage, which means today, if you are on SingleStore, you can transact and analyze on a single data table. That means you can run your analytics as soon as the data lands. No more ETL processing or batch work or overnight jobs. The dashboard is powered up as soon as your visitor comes on your website or makes a transaction on your application. The best part is, we have been a vector database since 2017. We did this for a major bank in the US, and we have been using it for fraud analytics, image recognition, face detection, and so much more. And now with the advent of Gen AI, vector database is the de facto. And that is what differentiates us. We not only transact and analyze in real time, we also can give you context based on your customer data, based on your internal documentation. So if you're a sales organization and you're saying, what is the numbers for this year, instead of giving you the numbers from January to December, it knows exactly what is your financial fiscal year, starts in March and to the February of next year, and it'll give you in context what your sales numbers are. And these are the global customers that we have across the board. The Fortune 500 and the unicorns choose us. We are talking about MarTech unicorn like 6 Sense with a valuation of $7 billion. Accor Hotels, Akamai, which does 10 million or 12 million upserts per second. We are talking Hercules, security, Ariba, Armis, Bitwire, which is a cryptocurrency exchange, Fiverr, Hulu, Disney Plus, all the movies that you're watching on, all that real-time analytics is running on SingleStore. We're talking about Sony's PlayStation, Sky, SK Telecom in Korea. We are talking about Tata Communications and Walt Disney and so much more. And the numbers are enormous. This is just a small scope of things that we do. And this is all driving for the need and thirst for real time. When I say real time, you're all thinking, come on, everybody is saying real time. Is it even real? Let me ask you this question, since you're all in IT. Have you ever received a service ticket from an employee that says, can you make my dashboard a little slower because it's too fast for me? Never has it happened. Everyone wants it so fast that it should start predicting what you actually want. The need for real time is not going anywhere anytime soon. So these are the numbers we have put up. We have given 40x annual cost reduction for GE, which is an engineering company which builds aircraft engines in the US for Boeing and many major players in the industry. We are talking about a tier 1 bank in the United States that has fraud detection, which used to take them 15 minutes to 3 hours, down to 10 milliseconds. We have Comcast, which can handle 300,000 events per second for their streaming analytics platform. We are talking about a top energy company, this is CMS Energy in the state of Michigan, which does smart meter monitoring for 1.2 million smart meters for all its citizens. It was on SAP, they switched it to SingleStore, and when they switched it, now they not only handle real-time data, but also historical data, hence giving them trends and analyses, and also caught fraud in the situation, right? We are talking about energy fraud, people drawing out energy without them even knowing. That was detected because of SingleStore. And then Akamai, which I shared earlier, which does 12 million upserts across their content distribution network. So if you're building an application on SingleStore, what will it look like now? SingleStore can handle batch data, operational data. It can even handle your document data. You don't need a MongoDB because we can query in SQL on your Mongo file without even unflattening it. We can handle your IoT data. We can handle, you don't need an in-memory database. We have a 3-tiered storage architecture. We can put your data in memory, disk, or even object store. And we can connect that with Spark, and you can run your data science workbench without any issue. Why is that? Because number one, we are unified. We can handle both transactions and analytics on a single table type. Number two, you can run it anywhere. You get SingleStore to run on the cloud, on-premise, or even hybrid architecture. Number three, we are multi-model. We can handle relational, full-text search, key value, JSON, time series, and even vectors. And all this without paying an additional license fee. Once you buy SingleStore, you get all this unlocked right from the get-go. So you're essentially future-proofing your entire analytics environment with SingleStore. The question is, you might be thinking, thank you, George, for this nice slide. Is it even real? Because I can show you slide all day long. But the truth is, let me show you what it does. So we essentially took SingleStore and connected with OpenAI ChatGPT, trained it on SingleStore documentation, and now you can learn how to create tables and even write code. So I'm going to put in a question, and let's hope and pray the internet connection is great. So I'm going to ask that, does SingleStore support vectors? How would I store vectors in my table and run cosine similarity? And you can not only connect on ChatGPT or OpenAI's products and services, but you can even run it on Hugging Face, Llama 2. You want to keep it, the data within the four walls of our organization, you can do that with ease. And as you can see here, it not only created the text for me, it even wrote code for me on how exactly I can copy it and run it. And this is a feature that has come to even our SingleStore Studio, which I'll show you later, and you can sign up and play up with it. The next one that I want to show you is, this is called SingleStore Studio, and as I said earlier, we have built that whole squirrel bot, as we call it, SQRL bot over here, and you can ask questions and it'll write code. So I want to show you this database. So I'm going to do a historian table test. Essentially, this table test has 6.3 GBs of data, and if I click on it and show you the index, there is no data in memory, right? So the question is, how many tables does it have? It has 46 billion rows of data on this demo. And it actually did that within 92 milliseconds over here. Just look out for the time over here. This is the kind of performance I'm talking about. Scanned 46 billion rows of data under 92 milliseconds. Why is that? Number one, our architecture is unified. You don't need to keep it in two camps. There is little to no data movements, and you can handle a variety of data, right? Like relational, JSON, and so on. The second one I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of complexity on my query. I'm going to add a subselect joint, and I run it, and it actually did that under 162 milliseconds. Can you imagine your dashboards and applications running this fast and this quick? And this is refinery IoT data, right? And lastly, I want to show you how we can do the same on JSON data as well. I'll run a SQL code on JSON to extract journal array, and it ran on JSON data under 162 milliseconds. This is the kind of performance that I'm talking about. So, just to continue the motion, we are a single database for all your data complexity. We are talking about SingleStore replacing Apache Spark and Cassandra and Druid for GE. For Fathom Analytics, which is a privacy-first Google Analytics alternative, we replace MySQL, Redis, Amazon DynamoDB. For Fanatics, which does merchandising for sports like the English Premier League and the American football, we replace Redis, Elasticsearch, Apache Spark, and Flink. As you can see, you don't need all these databases. You can run all of that on just a single database that is SingleStore. For Hulu, we replace Apache Storm and Druid. For Armis Security, Postgres and Elastic. And this is the kind of performance that you get. 10 million events per second for streaming ingestion, supporting 100,000 users across the board with high concurrency, and all that under 1 second of record lookups. We also can analyze, giving you 100x performance boost if you're a new generational database like Snowflake. If you're on a legacy database like Oracle and whatnot, we give you even 1000x performance in comparison. Under 1 second for fast reads, handling over 2 petabytes of file without breaking a sweat. And lastly, we can also contextualize your data, giving you 400x performance under a second with 10 plus native function, giving you a first-class vector support experience. So in a nutshell, you can see that SingleStore can handle fast ingest and CDC, handling streaming data, transform, bulk load data. We are on all major public cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and GCP, and even on-premise on Kubernetes as well. We can handle a variety of data types from relational, vector, key value, JSON, time series, and even vectors. And this can power your real-time decision-making, AI applications, and dynamic experience. We are talking about real-time dynamic experiences. And also powers your ad hoc queries, whether it's simple, 1 or 2 joins, or even 5 joins. It won't even break a sweat, powering your dashboards and even machine learning initiatives. Now, the question on top of your mind is, how can you adopt SingleStore? Number one, you can adopt SingleStore if you're building a net new app. If you ever have a new application to build on, use SingleStore to build it, because we can build the next generation of modern applications, combining the power of transaction analytics and context. Number two, we give you real-time capabilities. If you want to keep your existing infrastructure, SingleStore can be the augmentation layer in between and give you still the good performance and the much better performance that you require. And lastly, you can replace and consolidate. If you're having a really good time with SingleStore, you don't need that legacy database or the new generational database anymore. You can replace it and simplify your entire architecture with us. And that is where we are coming in. So the next step I would love for you to have is, we have a booth right outside the hall. Come and visit us. We would love to share with you the use cases and the customers that we power. We want to discuss with you and share how we can do a guided eval on SingleStore, on us, and we will take your application and your initiatives to the next level. We even can do a proof of concept with us, totally on us, whether it's on the cloud, on premise, or on bare metal or Kubernetes. We will be allowing you to do that. You can move your data into SingleStore, and moving your data is really easy. We have what we call SingleStore pipelines. It streams right in, and it won't even hamper the performance of your application. And that's where we come in. SingleStore is changing the way we do business, and all the customers that we have in the Fortune 500 and the Unicorn is changing the way they're delighting the customers and even saving lives. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.